Mary, will you call the roll call?
Mr. Hayes.
Here.
Mr. Hunt.
Here.
Mr. Wright.
Here.
Mr. Wilkie.
Here.
And Mrs. Harrington.
Here.
Thank you. Item B, the Pledge of Allegiance. Will you all stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And remain standing for a moment of silence, please. Thank you. You may be seated. Item number 2A, we're going to adopt the agenda as presented. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Mr. Hayes, seconded by Ms. Harrington. Mary, call for the roll.
Mr. Hayes.
Yes.
Mr. Hunt.
Yes.
Mr. Wright.
Yes,
Mr. Wilkie.
Yes.
And Mrs. Harrington.
Yes.
thank you. Item 2B, approving the minutes of the prior meetings as presented. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
It's been moved by Mrs. Harrington, seconded by Mr. Wilkie. All, Mary, call the roll. I'm sorry.
Mr. Hayes.
Yes.
Mr. Hunt.
Yes.
Mr. Wright.
Yes,
Mr. Wilkie.
Yes.
And Mrs. Harrington.
Yes.
thank you. Item number 3, employee recognitions. Mr. Lavender.
Yes, sir. Thank you, President Wright, members of the board. It's my honor tonight to introduce our guest. He's here tonight to talk about what education meant to him. He's certainly a man that has lived the American dream, and he can share some of that with you. So we're going to ask Congressman Siscomani to please come forward, talk about why education is important. Then we're going to recognize some of our extraordinary staff that are touching the lives similar to the touched Congressman Siscomani's life. So,
Great.
Congressman, welcome to Casa Grande. We're glad to see you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Lavender. Thank you, President Wright, as well, for the invitation for hosting me. I was told that there were mics here. You guys hear me okay? Yeah? Okay, because the other option is right there. Talking to you with my back towards you would be kind of odd. So I'll rather stand here. That's okay. Everybody can hear me okay? Okay, wonderful. Yeah, way in the back. I can see the thumbs up. Thank you so much. Well, thank you for allowing me to speak for a few minutes before we present some of these awards. The awards that will be, or the recognition really that we'll be presenting are called the Dream Award or the Dream Recognition. I'm a big believer in the American dream, as Mr. Lavender just mentioned, because I'm living it, because I'm a product of it. And I think everybody here is a product of that American dream as well. So I'll tell you real quick, I spent all day here, most of the day here in Pinal County. My district spans to 5 different counties, Pinal County being one of them. Actually, one of the first meetings that I took as a member of Congress was back in Casa Grande with the Pinal Partnership. And that was for a reason, because I want you all to have a voice and a seat at the table in whatever we do. So I sit on the Appropriations Committee, and one of the things we were able to do this year is secure some funding for some important projects in this area. Water irrigation is one of them, and also for the expansion of Thornton Road as well. I see that Lucid is thriving, and part of that is that it comes with a lot of traffic as well. So expanding those roads around that is important for the community. So happy to do that, happy to be back. As I share my story, let me just tell you that I think everyone here has a very personal story of success. And by reading some of the bios here on the people being recognized today, I can see why that is. So I was born in Mexico. I was born in Hermosillo. Anybody knows where that is? Yeah, that's the capital of Sonora. That's a state right south of Arizona. And we immigrated here when I was 11 years old. We worked, and my parents worked obviously early on. My dad was a bus driver for the school district in Tucson, CGUHSD. So my dad got to work there pretty much since I remember, all the way up to the time that he retired just recently. He worked as a bus driver. And my mom cleaned houses, and we did all that we could do to make ends meet. I actually would go with my dad on the weekends to go wash cars to make ends meet. We would go to a neighborhood called the Foothills in Tucson. That's like the nice part. And I got to tell you, I remember washing these cars and looking onto these mansions and thinking to myself, I don't belong here. I'll never be part of this world. I mean, it seemed like we were driving out of town to go wash these cars. But I think my dad could read my thoughts. He would always tell me in Spanish, he would say, hey, remember, we're working with these today so that tomorrow you work with this too. Stop daydreaming and get back to work. So I would get back to work and we would go and we'll wash these cars. But here's the thing. When I was cutting the ribbon in my office for the United States Congress, my dad is the first one to get there. He's like, estoy tan orgulloso de ti, mijo. I'm like, thanks, Dad. He says, I'm so proud of you. So do you know where we are? And I said, we're in my office, Dad. It's about to happen. He says, yeah, but where are we? I said, we're in the boardroom. This is where we're going to make decisions. Yeah, but where are we? I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Goes through the window, pulls back the blinds. It tells me we're 2 blocks away from where we used to wash cars. Friends, I represent in Congress today the same neighborhood where I washed cars when I was a kid. Because this country is a land of opportunity. And nowhere else in the world would I have had that opportunity. Now, education had a huge part to do with that. I'm the oldest of 3, 2 younger sisters. The only boy, I'm the oldest. And so I had to open up, way wherever we went. I translated for my parents, calling the doctor or whatever it had to do. Maybe some of you here have experienced that. You're the official home translator for everything. And I was a kid. I didn't know the medical terms or anything, but that's what you do. So I'll never forget this. I was an athlete in high school. It's mainly what, I love playing sports. Can't tell now, but I did play sports when I was an athlete. And I remember it vividly because I got enough, good enough grades to be able to play and be a decent student. My parents always demanded that. They didn't know what else to demand. We didn't know what an SAT was, what a GPA was. We didn't know any of that, right? We were new to the country. So there was no guidance on how to go do these things. So my school played a role in that. Now, quite frankly, I'm a product of the public school system, and I'm proud of that. Also, this system is sometimes overwhelmed, and there's so many kids in the system, especially in Tucson and CGUHSD, that you can get lost in the system. And I think that's kind of what happened to me. But my counselor knew me because of there's different activities and my sport playing and everything. And I'll never forget this. It was 3 weeks before graduation. 3 weeks. And I was on the track team. And the counselor stopped me and he said, say, Juan, that he had a Pima College recruiter with him, a community college recruiter. He said, hey, Juan, what are you doing after school? I said, I'm going to go to track back. He paused and he says, son, I'm talking about high school. Not today. What are you going to do after high school? My mind wasn't even there. I wasn't thinking that because no one was guiding me to that. My parents couldn't do that. They were working 2, 3 jobs each. There's nothing they could do about it. So he said, I've looked you up. You're a good leader. You're a go-getter. At least on the field, we'll see what you can do academically. I'll give you a 1-semester scholarship. 1 semester. That's all I can give you. And then the rest will be up to you. I said, well, Harvard is not knocking down my door, so I guess I'll take this opportunity of the community college. And I did. I went to the community college, got involved in student government, became student body president. Fast forward some years, here I am. Someone believed in me. Someone saw something in me that I didn't even see myself, because I was thinking of track practice that day. But Victor Salazar, the recruiter that I'll never forget his name my entire life, that day in my high school, it changed my life forever. You see, my wife at the same time was going through a different experience. She is from, her family's from Michoacan, central Mexico. She grows up in California, is born in California in San Luis Obispo. California is another country to the west. I don't know if you've seen that. She was born there. She's the youngest, the only girl, but the youngest of 3. And she goes on the full academic right to Stanford. First woman in her family to attend college. and she goes on the full academic right to stand. A little different than the one semester Mercy Scholarship to Pima, right? You know where we met? We met in Washington, D.C. When we were both selected for a program that selected 10 guys and 10 girls from the whole country, recent grads, to compete for this public policy fellowship. And once you were selected, you were one of 20 in the country. 10 guys, 10 girls. She was one of the 10 girls, I was one of the 10 guys. Most of the students in there looked like her. They were from Columbia, law degrees, master's degrees from Yale, all kinds of things. And I was just a Pima College kid from the U of A as well. Somehow squeezed in. So I tell our kids, we have 6 kids, 3 boys and 3 girls, 14 to 4. We had 6 in 10 years. I do not recommend that. I do not recommend that. Laura and I tell them, hey, guys, I said, Daddy wanted a 1 semester scholarship to Pima, Mommy wanted a full academic right to Stanford. And we ended up in the same place at the same time. It's not where you start, it's where you do it. And there is no other country in the world that sets an environment where if you want it, you go get it. If you want it, you go get it. Before I launched the campaign, my dad told me something. Again, the wisdom of a man that is still learning and perfecting his image. He said, Juan, I want you to think of something before we launch this campaign next week. This was on the Sunday. He said, where else in the world could we have our story? We come to the country, we immerse in the culture, we learn English, we go through the long process to become U.S. citizens. He said, I drive a bus my whole life. And now my son has a shot at becoming a member of the United States Congress. Where else in the world can that story be? And the answer is nowhere else. So he said, listen, I think you're going to win, but whether you win or lose, I want you to know something. You've already won because you're a citizen of the greatest country on earth. And if you don't win and you wake up the next morning, you can reinvent yourself. You can go do something else, start a business, do something, whatever you want to do. You can go on and do that. So there's a lot to be upset about. You've got to change things, sure. He said, but be grateful. Sea agradecido, he told me, because of what this country has given us. So get out there, be a happy warrior, smile when you're fighting for things. You don't need to be upset. People always tell me, you're a Republican, you're a conservative. I said, I am. I'm just not mad about it. I'm just not mad about it. I'm grateful for this country, grateful for my parents, grateful for what this country has done for us and the opportunities. And listen, if you choose to have a certain job, you can. If you choose to do something else, you can. My middle sister, she chose the private sector, probably the smartest one of the 3 of us. She's climbing up the ladder in TEP over in Tucson. My youngest sister chose ministry. She went to a Bible college and she works for a church now. She wants to be a minister. And I'm working here for you all. Whatever you want to go do, you can do. So what I want to leave you with today is that feeling to know that you live in the greatest country in the world, that you live in one of the best communities all around. You live in the best congressional district in the world, for sure. 66. But we live in the place of opportunity. We live in a community that is led by men and women that want your best interest, that listen to you. And that's why the recognition of these dream boards is something that we thought of, as saying, how can we highlight people living the American dream? Because guess what? Everyone has a car wash store. It may be another profession. It may be another background. It may be 3-4 generations removed. It may be you. But everyone here should have the thought process of remembering who paid the price for you to be here. Who washed those cars? Who did all that work that allowed you to be able to pursue your opportunities today? That's why it's so important to keep talking about the positive things about our country. and that American dream. I sat in a room like this, last story. I sat in a room like this. I was invited to speak by a judge because we were welcoming 45 new citizens to the country. 19 different countries. They were going to be taking an oath to the Constitution that day as new United States citizens. They asked me to go and speak to them. And I told them I was sitting exactly where you're sitting, becoming a United States citizen in 2006. Friends, in 2006, I took my first oath to the Constitution to become a U.S. citizen. 16 years later, I take my second oath to the Constitution to become a U.S. Congressman. Where else? Where else can you do that in the world? So I told the people sitting there, I said, there is a clear path from where you're sitting to be able to represent this country in the United States. There's a clear path to where you're sitting to wherever you want to go. Because that's what the American dream is all about. It's opportunity. That's it. No freebies, no nothing else. You want it, go get it.
Yep.
And this country allows you to do that. Whether it's driving a bus, because my dad, if you ask him, are you living the American dream? He'll be like, advocacy. He's like, I get to clock out on Friday, go to all the soccer games for the grandkids, go to church on Sunday, clock back in on Monday. He told me, when was the last time you clocked out of work? I'm always on, Dad, 24/7. He's like, that's right. I live in the American dream. Sorry about yours. It's not about position. It's not about money. It's not about financial success. It's about doing what you were called to do, what's in your heart, to go do that. That's why I smile. Because those red eyes that I take, that air mattress that I pump up every night I'm in Washington to sleep in my office, I do that because I love it. I do that because I love serving you. Because it's a privilege to be one of 435 members of Congress and make decisions over the most powerful country in the world. And I get to do that as an immigrant. God bless you guys. Thank you so much. I have out the certificates here. We can start calling them, and or you tell me what to do.
Okay,
I'm
well,
following
my
instructions.
executive director, Mrs. Beecham's going to help you with the plaques, and then
Perfect.
you have some of the certificates. And
Yes, we do. And Carla would help us, and I think they're in the same order, probably. Hopefully.
Yeah.
If not, we'll sort through them. We won't give you the wrong one. Don't worry.
So when I call your name, please come forward and to receive your plaque and the certificate from the congressman. Congressman, we love you too.
Thanks,
So thank
guys.
you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So our
This is, go ahead. You call
these
me.
are our first annual American Dream Inspiration Educator Awards, sponsored by Congressman Juan Ciscomani. Our food service worker from Vista Grande High School, Sandra Allman.
I got you here. Your ticket to get both of these things to give me a hug. Thank you. Thank you so much. Here, I'll have you hold this. We can pose for the picture. Where do you want this? Right here? We'll just turn around this way. Right here. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Our facility services admin assistant, Jennifer Alley.
Congratulations, Jennifer. All right, I'm so proud of you all. Thank you. There you go. We'll do the same here. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
A science teacher from Vista Grande High School visiting from the Philippines is Silvestri Amorso. I think they got it.
How bad did you butcher your name? Tell me, be honest. Congratulations, man. Yeah, here you go. And welcome, welcome. There you go.
Our facilities director, Ralph Bellick. So Congressman Ralph's dad was the mayor of Eloy, but he was smart and went into the private sector and stayed out of politics. But welcome, Mayor.
Each generation improves, right? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. No offense, Mayor.
An aspiring excellence of coach, supporting our special needs students at Casa Grande Union, and an aspiring teacher, Ophelia Cook.
Hey, you're well loved, Ophelia. Thank you for what you do. Good God's work. Thank you. Here. All right. Great. Here you go. Keep up the good work.
Casa Grande Union security guard, Gypsy Davis.
Don't mess with you, all right? Congratulations. Sorry, you are an immigrant as well. From Belgium. Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. Isn't this the greatest country? Amen to that. All right. Yeah.
Our informational technology director, Dave Griffith. Dave is also trying to establish a skeet shooting team here in the district. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Portable gun. Yeah. Do it. Back. Go.
You actually got him to smile.
I couldn't tell.
Our Pride of Casa Grande Union band director, Martin Hebda. Also fellow U of A grad.
There you go. Right, you did well. That's right. Congratulations. Thanks for what you do. Flag, we can open this guy up as well. Does that make you look short? Thanks, I appreciate it.
Counselor at Vista Grande High School, Mia Khan.
There you go. Yeah. Congratulations. There you go. Nice. Thank you.
Mrs. Mary just pointed out I'm not very good with my alphabet. Dean of Students at Vista Grande High School, Lorena Jimenez. Okay.
There you go. So you knew that.
Yeah.
You knew.
Our site supervisor of our facility, site supervisor of our facilities, Anthony Banks Lee.
Yeah, oh, thank you for what you do, right? There you go. You're living the American dream, brother.
He always has a smile.
The first smiling face our students see every morning, bus driver David Leak.
patience for this job. Lots of patience for this job.
Mhm.
Good, thank you.
Spanish teacher at Vista Grande High School, Anna Matthews.
Ah, también, fíjate. More things in common than you would imagine.
Our district registrar and responsible for getting all the students correctly in classes this year, Charmaine Martinez.
Congratulations. Thanks for what you do for the students, yeah? There you go. Open this up.
Our English language arts curriculum coordinator for the district, Alistar Mounts.
Yeah, absolutely. Here you go. Good.
Our in-school detention supervisor and defensive coordinator for Casa Grande Union's football team, Stefan Nelson.
You know, detention and defensive coordinator. I love it. All right. Here you go. Right here, brother. Right here. Yeah, don't get detention. Yeah.
I gotta practice.
Yeah.
Somebody we want you to be best friends with, our district federal grants coordinator, Tina Ogle.
All right.
There you go.
Can I get your contact information? She knows exactly how to get a hold of us. You guys, lots of questions. Yeah, there you go. You're welcome. Thank you. See you soon. Okay.
Our curriculum admin assistant at Vista Grande High School, curriculum department admin assistant, Julie Parks Evans.
Congratulations. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Here you go. Right here.
Social studies teacher at Casa Grande Union, Gretchen Plegancool, who wasn't able to attend tonight.
I was really hoping to just hear Jeff try to pronounce this one.
Well, Congressman, I told you I'd have it out of here at 7 o'clock. It's 7:01. It's probably the first time since you've been in Congress, you're going to be on time coming home.
In spite of me speaking too long, you got me out on time.
So we thank you for coming tonight,
Thank
Congressman.
you all. Thank you all. Very much. Nice. Yep. See you. Bye, everyone. Have a good one. Have a good one.
Whatever you need to do. We have one more award, if you don't mind waiting, so she can get her proper recognition as well as our employee of the month. Renee Morales is going to come forward and present that.
You okay?
Good.
How you want to go?
So July, we didn't get to honor Lee Brown. So if we could come up and. Get over here. So Lee is kind of an unsung hero in the ESS Special Education Department. She was a admin assistant a couple years ago, and in the last year and this year, she is our compliance officer. And for those of you that don't know a lot about special education, it lives and dies on compliance. And it's the federal laws that we have to abide by, turning things in on time when the clock starts and stops, and then we're in an audit. And Lee is she keeps her cool. She's kind. She keeps everything in line. She has held the fort down. And in all the transitions that we did last year, I don't know that our district would be in the shape that it is without you. So we just owe you so much. And I'm just so proud to recognize you as one of our amazing, amazing, amazing. So, Lee Brown. And if Lee brought any of her people, come on up here so you can take pictures with her.
Great. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Okay, you can give it to Jen.
Mhm.
Thank you, Mr. Lavender. That's a pretty special recognition. That was quite impressive with all that he said. It's a treat to hear somebody who gives an inspirational speech like that, to hear where he came from, and to hear the story that any of us can do what he does if we just have the right mindset. It's just mind blowing. Thank you. Mr. Lavender, now you have your superintendent's report.
Yes, sir. And it's going to be very brief tonight. I want to let all you know currently right now, we have 2,122 students enrolled at Union, 2,107 enrolled at this. Yeah, we'll go ahead and those that want to leave, go ahead and leave. We're getting to the exciting part. Huh? Yeah, they do.
That's pretty cool. Anthony, congratulations.
You too. Thank you.
Our future United States Congressman, Anthony Banks. I want you all to know that I did excuse Facilities Director Bellick to go have dinner with his family because he had the most guests here tonight. So, but we know his family is so important to Ralph as well. Okay. So again, Union has 2,122 students, Vista 2,107, Pace for 70. So right now we have 4,299 enrolled students. Tomorrow we hit our 10th day, and so we'll be doing some 10-day drops. We'll probably be dropping about 300 students that are enrolled that have not showed to school yet. So I think roughly we're gonna start with about 4,000 students. In Vista, I think we'll probably have more students than Union when we're done with the 10-day drops. So, so exciting, big, exciting freshman classes at both schools. I want to congratulate all of our principals for an excellent start to the school year. And also commend Dr. Lineberry, excuse me, he made a rookie mistake and asked students for suggestions on their schedule and has 1,000 scheduled chess requests to go through, but he is going through them. He'll learn. The other encouraging thing is currently right now we have a reading intervention position at Casa Grande High School. We have an ELA opening at Vista, but we have a long-term sub in there. And we have a math position open at Vista. Am I correct, Vance, or did you fill that up? Okay, so we're waiting for a guest teacher, and we have 5 openings in special ed. So much better shape filling our ranks as last year. Also on Thursday night, will be Meet the Teacher night at all 3 of our schools from 4 to 7, an opportunity for our parents to get to know the teachers and establish those relationships. And if you don't have dinner plans for Thursday night, Dr. Lineberry's staff, 5 to 7? Thank you. Dr. Lineberry and his staff are providing free hot dogs. So I'm looking forward to dinner on Thursday night there. Football practices started last night, and next week we will start our other sports, including our first ever girls football team. And we're excited about the Chamber of Commerce Bowl that's coming in October when Vista plays Union. I was very pleased this morning to see the article in the Casa Grande Dispatch with Dallas Gibbons from Gibbons Tire Pro visiting our automotive classes and establishing some partnerships there. And we also saw a really nice article this last week of the Patina dynasty at Union with John, who has been teaching and coaching there for years. Kim, his wife recently, who started coaching there after teaching there after retiring from the elementary district, and now Corey, their daughter, is teaching there. So we have one more Bettina to recruit. And then last great news I want to share with all of you, if you've all seen the movie Rudy, about the Notre Dame football star, similar to Congressman Siscomani, a success star. In the movie, they are chanting Rudy, Rudy, Rudy. Chris, why don't you come forward and share what the Union students are going to be doing on September 8th and 9th. Chris has friends in high places.
I don't. I just have, I'm just lucky to have friends. On September 7th, I have a friend who has known Rudy for a while. And I got home the other night and he said, Chris, let me introduce you to somebody. And I said, all right. And he goes, Chris, meet Rudy Rudiger. Rudy, meet Chris. And sir, I can't believe I'm talking to you. I was a big nerd. But he is going to come out and speak to the staff on September 7th. And then he's going to spend the morning meeting with students. He'll talk to all of our athletes. He'll talk to our students who have a lot of potential, but aren't really putting forth the effort to reach that potential. And he's going to talk to our ROTC unit. So excited about having him and what he can bring to our school.
Great. So as we get closer, I'll be providing all of you details. So if you would like to meet Rudy, you certainly can. That's my report tonight, sir.
Can I
Yes.
piggyback on that? I just wanted to commend at least Union because I had firsthand experience of it with my daughter being a freshman this year. But it was a really great start to the year so far. There have been little hiccups, but they've been handled very nicely. As a parent, I've been very well informed on everything that's been going on. The teachers are communicating. Dr. Lineberry is communicating. So I just want everyone to know, as on this side of things, I was very pleased, and I love that Parent Square app. it's amazing. And I wish the middle schools had it because you can just go on there and you can see your kid's schedule, read emails, you can look at the website. So anyway, great job.
Thank you. Can I say something? Real quick.
Go ahead.
I'd like to congratulate Dr. Lineberry. I appreciate very much him standing up and taking responsibility for some issues that happened. The video that you did was a very welcome sight. And again, I strongly speak in favor of transparency in all cases. Thank you for taking that responsibility seriously and doing it the way that it should be done. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Item 4B, curriculum adoption, Renee?
So as you know, state law changed and we adopted a new policy on curriculum adoptions. And so Renee and I have been discussing kind of a outline for the year. This is a proposed adoption process to kind of share a plan moving forward. And then the anticipation is that we would bring the structure back to you in September, but give you the opportunity to kind of think through what we're proposing for the plan. So.
Okay. Good evening, President Wright, board members, and Mr. Lavender. So as Mr. Lavender was saying, as you have asked for and as we need to put together some sort of policy, some sort of procedure and process for the adoption policy as it pertains to the board policy and the state law. So this is how we're starting to put together a structure to present to you. So when we look at the board policy, this is what it states. And it specifically looks at ARS 15-721F or 15-722B. And so this is the first part of that. I'll just give you a minute to look it over. The first part that it says on the bottom, no district shall include in its program of instruction any course or class that. So we can't include those A, B, C, or D. Okay. Now, these are things we cannot keep out of the curriculum. We can't restrict or prohibit A, B, C, D, or E. This is the continuation of the board policy. An alleged failure to do this by the district or to abide by the preceding conditions may be subject to the district's investigation by the State Board of Education. Okay. So I went in and I looked at these specific ARS statutes. So 15-721 and 15-722, they're big. Here's 721, but then the yellow, that's specifically the one that our board policy is looking at. Okay. Section F. There's lots of pieces to it, but our board policy directly looks at section F. Okay. And of course, you will have access to this PowerPoint so that you can look at it further. And this is the second part. This is high schools, and it has section B. And really what it does say is that we need to give you the proposed approval process for all electronic supplemental and or courses, materials. Now, it does refer to Title 38, Chapter 3, Article 3.1, and that does discuss the open meeting law. And what that is, and I want to just kind of be clear about what the open meeting law is. It's exactly, it's this, what we're having right now. It's what even a board would have to have for open meetings. So there can be an audience, there can be a call to the audience, but the audience really is there to observe the meeting and not to directly participate in it. Okay. So what are the curriculum and materials that will need to go through the process? These are the ones that we need to look at for the actually for this year and for next year. So the ones that we need to look at for content specific curriculum are Spanish, fashion design, US history, English for language learners, and a functional life skills special education curriculum. Spanish and fashion design were looked at alongside US history last year. Due to the funding, they were put up on our website, but they were not approved to be purchased. Okay, so we do need to go through the formal process with those. A formal process was not conducted for those. We do need a formal process for those. US history, we were only approved for 1 year. So we will need to look at the US history curriculum. English language learners, right now, they do not have a formal curriculum that they're working on. We are looking at using Lexia, the reading intervention curriculum right now to support them. We are also looking at taking part of our English curriculum and modifying it for them to be able to support their English language learners. They don't have a formal English language learner curriculum that is required by law. So we really need to get that for them. The functional and life skills for special education, those are the students that are in a self-contained functional setting that may be in school with us for 4, 5, even 6 years that will leave with life skills, skill bases. And they still need to, by state law, graduate with the Arizona state graduation requirements. Right now, what we're doing is we're taking our curriculum that we have and we're modifying it so low, but we do not have a curriculum specific to their skill-based need. So we need to adopt a specific curriculum for those students. So it would look at more like a civic learning through social studies, reading that would help them with read-based needs that they would be able to use when they leave school and maybe go into a functional work setting, skills that would make them independent. So we need a specific curriculum for those students. Now, on the supplemental side, we are looking at Business U. It's for the marketing and business classes, and Be Able. Last year, Inova used Be Able, and they would like to use it this year for PACE. Business U was used last year in marketing and business. Neither of those supplemental materials went through the correct process for usage. So we need to put them both through the correct vetting process. Right now, where Be Able is concerned for PACE, it is being requested for a career and reading type of program. We have resources to supplement for that. We have Lexia, that's a reading intervention program, and we have an Arizona State program that we use for ECAP to do career assessment. So we have other things to supplement in place of that while we put it through the vetting process. Where Business U is concerned, we don't have anything else to support our teachers, who some come from the business world, and it provides curriculum and lesson plans. So we really do need to continue using that while we put it through the vetting process. And I think Mr. Lavender had some conversations about that process with you all. Questions on this?
Yeah, I've got some questions. I read here that the create committee, we have 3 members of the community, 3 parents, 3 educators.
I'm not there yet.
You're not,
You're there.
One more slide.
okay. Okay.
I'm there now, so I'm going to go through it. You were reading ahead, sir.
Okay, I didn't realize I was.
Okay, so this is our proposed process for adoption. When you look at the law, there is no, it says that we have to, have some sort of meeting system. We have to have an open for the public meeting process. We have to have the minutes for the meeting, but there is no, anywhere, there's no number on the committee. There's no, you have to have this many constituents for each stakeholder. There's no parameters that it says in any law that I have been able to come across. And I'm pulling state statutes, I'm pulling from the board requirements, and I'm pulling from board policy. So in trying to create a procedure and a process, these are proposals for what we can use going forward for parameters. So the first step that we're doing is a call for committee involvement. That goes to all of our employees in the district, right? Does anybody want to participate on these committees? And if so, which committees are you interested in participating in? Because all of our employees have different interests in which subject matters they would like to participate in. The next step would be a call for public involvement. And since we would have to, say this is what we're going to be looking at for public involvement, we would have to take a first come, first served basis because, we can't have everybody on the committee. The next steps would be to create the committee. At this time, we're looking at 3 members of the community, 3 parents, 3 educators, and that makes a committee of 9 outside the department. And I'm going to get real kind of specific about that. If we're looking at fashion design, we have 2 fashion design teachers. So already we have a committee of 9 and a department of 2, plus a CTE director and a curriculum specialist and me. So that's a committee of 9 and 5 members of the curriculum team. So already that committee is much larger than the department. If you look at Spanish, there's 3 teachers at Union, I believe, and I might be misspeaking, and 3 at Vista. So that's 6. The committee members, there's already 9, there's only 6. If we're looking at U.S. history, then we're just looking at U.S. history teachers on that committee, not the entire social studies department. So we're trying to be fair about balancing these committees versus departments. So then this committee will work with the department. There will be a notice for open sessions. Meetings will have minutes, and those minutes will be posted. Then, of course, the 60-day posting of the public of the curriculum itself that is chosen, and the proposal of adoption to the board. In talking about, okay, well, here's the committee, here's the department. How do we come up with that vote? We were looking at the majority votes, and I'm going to let you kind of explain that.
So if we have 7, for example, in language arts, we have 9 members of the committee, which is the 3 members of the community, 3 parents, 3 educators, and maybe 7 language arts teachers. It would require a majority of both groups. So it would require at least 5 on the committee of the community committee, and at least 4 of the teachers in support of that. So there's consensus on both sides, all working together on that is what we're thinking. Not, again, it becomes a numbers game and things like that, but make sure that there's equal for all the teachers that are involved in it, the community, parents, and all that. So that's the proposal, is both sides have. And I hate to use the word both sides because we're hoping they work together. This isn't the House and the Senate or and that, but finding out some way. And the other thing we could do is do the 60-day posting to the public and have all of the materials open to the public as well. It just does not have to be the one.
Right. And so we're just trying to look at how to create some sort of process.
So for clarification, how are the members of the Create Committee going to be identified and selected? And what steps are we going to take to make sure that there is a diverse representation on that board so that different sides can be part of this process so that we have a more, a comprehensive look at it from different perspectives and the best decision is put forward?
Right. So for the educators, we would like educators that are invested in our school and or educators that are working at the school. They don't have to be in the department. We would like parents that have students in our schools currently. And the 3 community members, that's where we were saying the first come, first served basis, and then looking at seeing how we could incorporate that. This is all kind of, we're looking how to do this the best way possible.
Yeah. And just if I can drill down a little bit more, let's say you have 15 people that come in from the community.
Yeah.
And just to ensure that, there are different views within the community. And I think it's very important that we get all those views, well, at least a number of different views to participate in this. So it's not just one group of people or another group of people that I think it's very important that we have a diverse representation on this committee to ensure that we are having that. I know it's difficult, but this is such an important part of, what we're trying to accomplish here that I would love to see if we could do
And
that.
one possible, rather than first come, is take all of the community members, bring them to the board, and the board can decide which 3 would go on the committee. So to ensure that, because we don't want anybody to believe that we as
Handpicked.
educators are handpicking a committee.
I like
And
that.
ultimately, the board is going to be the one that votes for the approval of the materials. They're to bring the recommendation.
I think would be maybe a good idea to do like a short survey of whoever wants to apply for that. Like, why are you interested in doing this? What's, your work background, or just something that
Like an application process.
kind of like an application that like
all
qualifies
on
them.
it's all on the table right now. So
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
really good idea.
Steve has a question.
Yeah, I'd like to, on the history issue that we just got through dealing with, did I understand you right in saying that on that, or on that group, there was 7 teachers out of that?
No, I didn't put
Okay.
a number on that.
How many are educators in the history area?
In the U.S. history,
Yeah.
how many U.S. history teachers? I don't know off the top of my head.
We had at least 12, right?
So 7.
Oh.
That's not the question.
3.
So there's 3 or 4 unions, so you're talking
6 or 7.
Okay, so approximately 7. We've got 3 educators on this group also. So in my opinion, that's a little bit unbalanced. And I would ask that we don't make this unbalanced. It should be a very balanced group. And so if there are 6 educators, then at the minimum, there should be 6 people outside of the education system.
Right. And the reason I put educators on that is when I was looking at the bylaws for board members and how to choose this type of thing, it was really clear on making sure that educational decisions lied with the educational professionals.
Mhm.
And so making sure that those types of decisions were lying like vetting actual curriculum, right? Not the decision making of yes or no, but looking through it from an educator's lens of, is this, if I'm going to look at math, I'm going to pull in Jose Munoz, right? Because I'm not a math teacher and I can't make those kinds of really critical decisions, right? I know what good teaching looks like, but I can't make those really critical decisions when I'm looking at, is this the right math curriculum? Does that make sense?
Ms. Morales,
Yes.
in your discussion, we've got 9 members, 3 community members, 3 parents, and 3 educators,
Right.
general educators, what I'm getting from you.
That's correct.
And then you said we're going to have additional educators from that particular department of
Correct.
which that curriculum that we're going to be studying.
Correct.
And so that group of people is going to vary depending on how many people are in. Like you said, the fashion, we only have 2 in that department, but in the history or something else, we may have 7.
Right.
And so I don't think you can be. I don't think there's any way to be fair. I mean, we've still got our nine general from the public people,
Right.
because I mean the 3 educators are going to be general educators, but they're going to be from the public.
Right. And they could be educators from any sector
Yeah.
of education.
Okay.
One could be the director of curriculum at the elementary level, so there's consistency in looking at from elementary to high school.
Mhm.
It could be a wide range of people that might be interested in serving in this capacity.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But this is just a work in progress is what I'm understanding.
Proposal and U.S. history is just one piece of curriculum that we have to get approved.
Right.
It's just one piece of the 7.
And how soon are we going to start this process?
That's the next slide.
So glad you asked me that, because we need to get this done in 2
January.
phases.
Okay.
And the reason I broke it up this way is really specific. Business U, we need it immediately, right? Because they're already using a non-vetted program that we didn't go through the proper channels with. And functional and life skills, they don't have anything right now. The same thing with the English language learners. They don't have a curriculum to use right now. So we're pulling things and modifying them so that they can use the English curriculum. And in functional, we're using general curriculum and we're watering it down as far as we can get so that they can have something. And be able, Ms. Danzy has asked to be able to use that right now with PACE. So we need to get that moving as fast as possible. So that's why those specific pieces are being looked at immediately, right? And this can take anywhere from 90 days or more, and as soon as we can get this process nailed down. And we hope to have it started in September. So that's why these 4 are going to be looked at immediately. So we need 4 different committees. So you can see how we need 4 different sets of committees.
Great.
Then phase 2 would be January, when we'd look at Spanish, that they have something to work with right now. Fashion design, we have one CTE teacher who has a CTE curriculum that we can share with the non-CTE teacher. And then U.S. history, we have the curriculum that was approved. So we have this year to work through before we have to approve another curriculum. So those are the non-vital 3 that we can start next semester.
So if I
Mr.
understand-
Hayes,
sorry.
Mr. Hayes, do you have any questions?
I've got another one, Chuck.
You have a question?
A question, yeah, in relationship to this process not being followed beforehand. The way that I read the statute, of which I took the time to dig into it, this has been a requirement as far as the board is concerned to approve the curriculum. So how long has this been going on that we've had, for a lack of better words, and my English sometimes is not the best, but it gets a point across, and that is rogue teachers that decide that they're going to use something outside that the board has not approved. How long has this been going on? Do you know?
Let me take that.
Okay.
Mr. Hunt, these aren't rogue teachers that did this.
I didn't mean it in that format. I mean it in the sense that they haven't gone through the proper procedure.
Right. And so this was a decision that was made by the administration it was in place at this time last year to move forward and not follow this process. They're not here to say why or why they did it, why they didn't do it. We don't have any evidence. They could have done this if there was evidence of piloting agreements, things like that, but we don't have evidence of that. And the fact that we paid for these curriculums last year is evidence we probably were not piloting it. And so we have looked back, and I think Renee's looked back as far as she can. And then when she talked about other programs available for PACE, like Achieve and some of these things, we know we went through that process. And so, yes, as an organization, we was sloppy in not handling this. And that's why we're being transparent tonight and coming to you and saying this did not happen, and we need to make sure it happens moving forward. And so, but it's not the teachers. And I want to be clear, teachers did not make the decision to move forward on this. This was administrative decisions.
Correct.
And so please, I want to make sure that we don't think teachers are just out there pulling materials. This was a decision that was given to them that they could use these materials by the administration up here.
Okay. Well, I apologize for using the wrong
I
terminology.
just want to make sure because we have people at home and I don't want people to get the wrong impression. Our teachers have been very cooperative through this process.
Yeah.
If I make it towards that, the teachers, well, they did. They had 22 years that they had to fill in history, and they did the best job they can. And so they were innovative. I wasn't in the classes, but I didn't hear any kind of pushback on what was being taught. But we're here moving forward. I like this stand because the emphasis on making sure that we have a diverse perspective to make sure that when we move forward, more people will be comfortable with the ultimate decision. And based on this schedule right here, it looks like January we're going to kick off. So we have the next 3 months to find those individuals for the phase 2 group here, so we can go through a good. I like the suggestion. Why do you want to be part of this? Get their perspective so that we have a group moving forward. And if I understand it too, you have the curriculum the instructors that are helping on one side, and a majority of those have to agree. But then it has to come over to this create committee, and a majority of those have to agree. So even if there end up being 3 educators, we still have 3 members of the community and 3 parents that can basically say, we don't agree with this.
Correct.
So there's some, I guess,
Correct.
balance there.
And I started last year, July 2022, and my team spent the year making sure that there was an appropriate curriculum map for every single course, and so that we could align with the resources we have. So it's been a heavy lift, and it's a large undertaking, and our teachers have been incredibly cooperative. We can only move forward.
Kelly, any question?
No, I like it. I think it's a good plan to move forward. So
Okay.
Renee, I want to applaud you for putting together a very informative presentation.
Thank you.
I think it clearly lays out what our plan is in the next 6 to 8 months for this school year to determine curriculums coming on the next year.
Yep.
I think it might answer some of the questions that some of our members of the public might have based on our last month's meeting. I think that it's a map, and there's still some input to be done on this, as you said, and you are able to take some of that input as the members of this board will want to suggest, and members of the public that if they want to do that, they can direct their comments to any of us board members, and we'll forward that to you, and we'll move on. So,
Great suggestions, and we will definitely incorporate them.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So just to summarize the timeline, I probably when we do our administrative retreat, I'll put this on the agenda just so we have the opportunity to discuss this a little bit further there. And then we would bring a proposal to the September governing board meeting to approve the process for how we will move forward this year.
Great, thank you. Item 5A, Mr. Hunt, will you read the public content statement? Or do you want somebody with
No.
better eyes?
No. I will do fine. Thank you. Request to speak to the governing board pursuant to ARS 38-431.02.H. The board may make an open call to the public during the public meeting, subject to reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions to allow individuals to address the public body and issue on an issue within the jurisdiction of the public body. At the conclusion of the open call to the public, individual board members may respond to criticism made by those who have addressed the board. may ask the staff to review a matter or may ask that that matter be put on a future agenda. However, members of the board shall not discuss or take legal action on matters raised during the open call to the public unless the matters are properly noticed for discussion and legal action. During the open call, the board requests that the speakers refrain from voicing complaints against school personnel or any person connected with the district, as it may impact the due process rights. Policies KE, KEB, and KED are provided by the board for disposition of legitimate complaints, those involving individuals.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We have 2 calls to the public this evening. As always, we have a 3-minute time period. The first person up is Mr. Hawks. He wants to speak to follow up on the textbook curriculum, I assume. Correct.
President Wright, board members, Mr. Lavender, I got your name right.
Yes, you did.
I come to you this evening with a heavy heart. I don't get those too often because I try to maintain a positive outlook on things. But what happened at our last meeting, to me, left one board member hanging out there all alone who was standing for what was right. Why everybody caved or anything, I don't know. But I'm going to tell you, I grew up respecting teachers, loving many of my teachers. When I was in college, I respected all my teachers, all my professors. And they're probably some of the most blessed people in this country and in the world, because it's an honor that you're able to stand before children, before people with hungry minds, and give them information. But we must always stand true to that honor. We must stand with truth when we're speaking to these students and never present anything to them that is not true. Because when we do that, we have forfeited our right to teach the youth. Now, what happened during the last board meeting, like I say, I didn't agree with. And I'm not on the left side or the right side on this. I want to be on the kids' side. It has to be on the children's side. And I behoove you to always think of them first, very first in everything you do. If you do, I will stand with you. But from what I saw last time, we didn't stand with them. We gave them a situation that they shouldn't be put into. And for that reason, when January comes around, I will be running for school board.
Thank you. Yes.
I appreciate the comments, but I will respectfully disagree with you that one member was left out to dry and that he was the only person that acted with any integrity. I quote unquote you. Listen, we are all up here for one reason. It's for the kids. So I'm glad to hear that. I've got kids. I've got one in high school right now. I've got another one's going to be in it next year. I'm here for the kids. We are all here for the kids. So I welcome you to work with the board to make as good policies as we possibly can. We value your input, but please don't disparage us or criticize us for something you may disagree with. This is a democracy and we want to hear all sides. That's why I made my comments about let's make sure that we have a diverse perspective in there so that there's not one side that's running amok, if you will. We need to have a good diversity on these committees to make sure that we're getting a good comprehensive look at it from all sides to make the best choice for the children, for our students. And that's what we're all here for. So thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you. Our next gentleman is Larry Grafenakis. Is that close enough?
Excellent. President Wright, board members, Uh, so where to start? History. I was very bad in history. I hated history in high school. But since then, I've realized just how important it is. We forget our history. We don't know who we are. We don't know where we came from. And we really don't have a good foundation of where we're going. There is one question in the Bible was never answered. Pontius Pilate, what is truth? Okay. Maybe God wants us to answer that, to really focus on that and to see how important of a question it is, that we need to look at it in depth. Truth is a two-edged sword. It will cut both. Okay. Maybe no one is completely right. Maybe both sides are somewhat wrong. Okay. Did we know that the Japanese were going to attack Pearl Harbor? Okay. I'm not going to answer that here, but let's get to the truth. What is truth? And our kids deserve the truth, the absolute truth of what's going on today, of what happened in the past, so that they can make the right decisions and not make the same mistakes. So as for the discussion about, I'm sorry I wasn't here last time, but let's get a really good look at what we're teaching our kids, because like you all know and agree, our kids are our future. We're not going to be here in 20, 30, 40. I hope we're here for a long time, but they're going to be here much longer, and they're going to carry this nation, and they deserve the truth. Whoever it hurts, whoever benefits from it. And that's all I have to say. And thank you for really living up to your convictions and not being swayed by any other people, but looking at it really as a two-edged sword. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank both of you gentlemen for giving us your comments this evening. We will move on. Item 6A, District Policy Revision Adoption. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve the second reading and adoption of district revision for policy GBEF.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved by Mr. Hayes, seconded by Mrs. Harrington. Is there any discussion?
Nope.
Hearing none. Mary, call for the question.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkie?
Yes.
And Mrs. Harrington?
Yes.
Thank you. Item 6B, Audit Services. Is there a motion to approve?
Is my understanding this is just a renewal, right?
Mhm.
Okay. I'll make a motion as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Been moved by Mrs. Harrington, seconded by Mr. Hayes. Is there any discussion?
I do have a question. How long have we used this company?
Gina,
We've been with Pineville Beach for, I started in about 2015, and I think we were prior to that, so
How thorough of a job do they do? How comprehensive? How,
they're really good. And
Okay.
they actually handle most of the school districts in Arizona.
thank you.
Have we gone out to bid on this, or is this just a blanketed thing that we do?
We're required to offer bids, so we just went out last May. So this year is our first year. So we have them in.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Hearing none. Mary, call for the question.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkie?
Yes.
And Mrs. Harrington?
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Thank you. Item 6C, Cascade Union High School District Kitchen Equipment Proposals. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
A second?
I'll second.
Been moved by Mr. Wilkie, seconded by Mr. Hayes. Are there any questions?
I do. Can someone give me a kind of a quick overview of what it's in the information here? It had a number of things, but a quick synopsis of what each of these are for each of the schools.
This was money, this was items that were approved back in earlier in the year when we approved the construction of PACE, and it was all rolled into that as far as that lump of money that we had $2 million or so, that or maybe more, that we included the kitchen. Okay.
Which is funds that we collect from food service for the sale of food and things like that. And so it has to be used to enhance food service operations.
So it's just enhancing each of our
Yeah,
schools.
both of our school cafeterias at Vista and Union are going through major remodeling, making it more, what I would say, more of a college cafeteria field and less of a middle school rows field. There's charging devices in there.
So enhance the experience of the students.
Yeah,
And
it's
efficiencies.
much more eye appealing.
Yeah.
And then for the Vista, or for PACE, it's
Yes.
allowing them to utilize and have equipment here to warm food and that. And so,
Okay.
is that pretty accurate?
Thank you.
That was,
Go ahead.
was the PACE equipment included in the original PACE renovation costs?
Are you talking about all the stuff that was done over the summer?
Yeah.
I think it was part of the overall number of I think we were roughly about 2.1 million, and that was the 200,000 was part of that. Am I correct, Ms. Beecham?
Yes, and that was, yes.
Okay.
And so all the kitchen renovation is going with the renovation that you're talking about for the two high schools and then the PACE.
Okay.
So that was all. And this
Right.
is what we're using to enhance the kitchen part of the cafeterias.
All
And,
right.
Union is one of the older schools, so they need the equipment
Okay.
and they could use it. And, Ralph is going to present on what they've done over the summer and what the cafeteria,
Right.
those stages on the renovation of the cafeterias.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions?
Nope.
Mr. Hunt,
I'm good.
you good?
Good.
No other questions? Mary, call for the question?
Mr. Hayes,
Yes.
Mr. Hunt,
Yes.
Mr. Wright,
Yes.
Mr. Wilkie.
Yes.
And Mrs. Harrington.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Thank you. Item 6D, the White Fleet buses. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Mr. Wilkie, seconded by Mrs. Harrington. Is there any discussion?
No.
Where did this come? This came out of the blue all of a sudden. Where did this? What's the deal with this?
This is a recommendation as we look at our current fleet. We recently had one of our vans break down in New Mexico and is currently being repaired in New Mexico. And also with current supply chain issues, even though we're asking for this now, we're probably a year out. But we're reaching the end of life in some of our vans there. These are vans we use to transport small groups of students, also some students with special need. So right now, because we are short because of some of the issues, we're having to double up. And so, Gina, is there anything else that you would like to add to that? I knew you're the one that brought this to me.
That's basically it. We have 5 white fleet buses that we use, and like Mr. Governor said, they are getting old, and we're constantly repairing them. So, we had a better reach out to available, they'll be available.
Gotta be proactive.
So are we basically replacing 2 of the oldest, most decrepit units with the 2 new units? Are these new or are these used?
These will be brand new units, yes.
Brand new units, okay.
And so I think we will continue to run the others into the ground and use them when we can. But for out-of-state trips like New Mexico, we would be using the newer vehicles so we don't have breakdowns and have to send people over to New Mexico and go through that. Because I believe we towed the one back from New Mexico, my correct?
We're still in New Mexico right now, but we have, Mr. and Mrs. Briggs, they were the ones that took it down there.
Okay.
We want to make sure our students that are traveling long distances are going in the
And get home.
most efficient
Yeah.
and best
Yeah.
vehicles that we can and not face these type of situations.
Yeah,
Good deal.
absolutely.
Is there any other discussion?
No.
Mary, call for the question.
Wait, did we make a motion?
Yes.
We did. Okay, sorry.
Yes.
Mr. Hunt,
Yes.
Mr. Wright,
Yes.
Mr. Wilkie.
Yes.
And Mrs. Harrington.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Thank you. Moving down to the consent agenda. Items A through I. Is there anybody that wish to pull anything out of here?
Nope.
I would like to pull personnel out of here. Can somebody make a motion to approve B through I? Is
So moved.
there a second?
Second?
Been moved by Mr. Wilkie, seconded by Mr. Hayes. Any discussion? Hearing none. Mary, call for the question.
Mr. Hayes,
Yes?
Mr. Hunt,
Yes.
Mr. Wright,
Yes.
Mr. Wilkie.
Yes.
And Mrs. Harrington.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried 5-0. Item A, personnel. There's some things in here that have changed, Mr. Lavender. You and I talked about it this morning. And will you please explain the reposting of the salary schedules that are posted?
So this is a project that Ms. Beecham's been working on with her team for a considerable period of time. So what I would call this is more of some cleanup and clarifying some things. I think through the transition last year from the previous administration to this administration, some I's didn't get dotted, some T's didn't get crossed, and we want to make sure. So we have clarified and just been very clear. So a lot of what you're going to see in these salary schedules is a little bit different. Is probably the language underneath the scale and not really. And then with the stipend schedule, that was adopted in March. As we started going through, it was difficult in some capacities to kind of how we're going the minimum and max. There wasn't any language on what determined minimum and max and things like that. And so cleaning up some of those things and giving the athletic director the opportunity to work with the coaches on their staff and determining stipends for coaches like that.
Okay.
So Ms. Beecham, is there anything that you think that we should add to that?
No, I think you clarified everything. It was just like Mr. Lavender said, there was no guidelines on how to determine the minimum range versus the max range. And so we just added that language to the salary schedules.
Okay.
And the amount that we are given for each of the salary schedule that were stepless, that were changed to stepless. So we
Okay.
had a min and we had a max, and that was pretty much all they had. So we went back and added language on how we were going to determine years of experience.
Okay.
To come up with a salary for someone.
Okay.
And the same with the stipend schedule as well, because it's kind of stepless. And so it was just a min and a max.
Okay. Thank you.
For example, one of the things we know that was discussed with the committee that developed this was given a stipend if a staff member received a doctorate. And we had some staff members that thought that was stipend was like $9,000 or others that, and so really looking through and determining this and studying what other school districts did, the $2,000 stipend for a doctor is really reasonable in what the market and looking at other school districts. But not having anything and having people, say, well, we thought it was going to be this, and then not having come out on that. And again, these are just, unfortunately, these are things that just through the transitions and things like that, and having one start and one finish, that we apologize. We've had to bring it back tonight, but we want it clear moving forward.
Okay. All right. Also, we have 2 items down below for job descriptions. Can you explain those?
Are you talking, for one is the guest teacher.
Okay.
So this is, I'm sorry?
Substitute.
So one of the challenges that schools face is getting substitute teachers into the schools. And so the elementary has employed this strategy. At the elementary schools, each school gets one guest teacher that's assigned that reports every day that's a substitute teacher. And believe it or not, last year we had 2 at Valago. Randy Robbins was one of them. And then we had another one. They were in classrooms almost every day because of the shortage of substitutes. And so what this allows us to do is put people into the classroom to cover these classes. So we're not constantly pulling teachers out of the classroom during their planned period when they're meeting with people and things like that. So having these 2 positions gives that flexibility for both schools to hire somebody that's going to be there every day. This is a grant funded position. And so at the end of the year, the grant is no longer going to be there. It's ESSER 3 funding. And so we'll have to analyze whether this is an effective position or not, depending on budget numbers and things like that.
Is the grant renewable?
The grant is not renewable, sir. So it's long-term, we would have to, if we were going to do this, we would have to absorb it into our cost.
Okay.
But we'll have a year to take a look.
We have a year to see,
how
is
appropriate.
this effective to have 2 substitutes on campus every day? Because, you know, Ms. Montijo's here, who was the admin assistant last year at Malago. I mean, she had teachers calling in as late as 7:45 when school was we did 8 o'clock, right? And so that's scrambling, and so having that flexibility and having people there in this market is something. And then the office clerk, this is a proposal that was brought by Ms. Daniels. And so, Ms. Daniels, do you want to?
So the office clerk would take the place of, we had an ESS secretary that was going from both sites out to Vista and like 2.5 days to Vista and 2.5 days to CP. What that person is doing is answering telephones in both of those departments, helping students who don't know, who just need to know where to go, and then filing, setting up appointments for IEPs. So what these positions are, we're going to call them a clerk rather than a secretary, and have one at each site. One of the positions will be paid for out of grant funds, and the other position will be paid out of M&O. So it's basically the same thing, but the duties that they would be performed on more of a clerical, clerk type role rather than a secretary.
Okay, thank you. All right, any questions?
No.
No? Mary, call for the question?
I think we need a.
Motion.
A motion to approve.
and a second on that.
All right.
particular
We need a motion and a second.
So I'll move that we approve item A personnel as presented.
Second.
Who seconded?
Me.
Okay, been moved by Mr. Hayes, seconded by Mrs. Harrington. Mary, call for the question?
Mr. Hayes.
Yes.
Mr. Hunt.
Yes.
Mr. Wright.
Yes.
Mr. Wilkie.
Yes.
And Mrs. Harrington.
Yes.
Okay, that comes to the bottom of our agenda, and we have nothing else to discuss. We
Mr. President.
appreciate all of you attending the meeting and participating, and we'll see you next month.
Mr. President, if I may, I'd just like to say a quick something if I could.
Okay.
Just wanted to wait till the end, but I'll echo Mr. Wilkie's comments, and I'll also add that I don't see it as anyone given board member caving to anything. In fact, we've heard several times, not just in this meeting, but in meetings past, that there have been some things that may have not been done according to proper procedure. And so we're in a position where we're having to correct those issues. So that's part of it. Then also, about a year ago, there were many people that came into this room on behalf of our teachers because they weren't being listened to at all and completely cut out of the process. And so people were advocating for those teachers. I know it because I was one of them. And so here we are a year later, and some of those same teachers come to us and say, hey, we've got some materials here that we need approval for. They might not be the best materials out there, but we're in a position right now where we need something. And so we're asking you to trust us to navigate through those materials as best we can. And so as I see it, I believe that that is what happened. That is what took place. Now, I'll be honest and say that the 1-year option made a big difference. And we're not locked into 3 years or more. And now with the new selection process, as we heard presented tonight, gives us an opportunity to engage with those materials in a way that hadn't been done previously, and then to move forward together as a community. So I don't see it as caving. I don't see it as doing something for our students that would be less than what they need from us. I think we did the best we could within the situation that was presented to us. And like I said last time, I believe with all my heart that we, given the way things had been the previous 2 years, we've got to show our teachers some trust. They know what the law is, and they can look at those texts and discern whether or not maybe there's something in there that might violate that law. And if that happens, then that's where we need to go back to our state legislature and say, hey, the law says this, but then this law over here also says this in terms of how that process works. So I don't think we caved. I believe that we did the best we could with what we had, and I will stand by that. Thank you.
Thank you. Adjourn.